Another week, another Flesh and Blood in the Budget episode. Welcome everyone. So last week we managed to go 3-0 in the Armory after two really long Verdance games. The deck is filling quite well, but there's always room for improvement. So for this week we are having some upgrades. We're going to be removing 2 Legacy of Icarus from our deck. So now I'm not playing that many ninja cards, meaning the Legacy of Icarus isn't been great. It's mostly just for sneaky finishes. I'm going to be keeping one in because I want to have something for the late game to get like a sneaky finish, or to push a Vengeance Never Rest above the threshold and do like a mini combo with that in the late game. Besides that, it's a reaction. It helps against overpower, but we haven't seen anything with overpower. And on top of that, I'm going to be changing the blood scent. I think the tiger and the resource for the tiger hasn't been that great, and I just wanted to free the slot because I needed 3 slots for the cards I'm going to be adding this week. It's being 100 wins. So this is a head jab, but very important, it has combo, meaning it blocks with Flick Flack, and on top of that, it combos with itself, giving it +1, so we can come for 3 into 5. It's already 8 value out of this ones, and then we can finish with another 0 for 4. And this also gives us some a gold for improvement, since now we also want to get the Winds of Eternity. So I need to save for those ones as well. So right now our buy list is looking like the Last Amnesia and the Winds of Eternity. And we still have about 1 month to go, so maybe we can make it so that we can get all the cards from there.
Ich habe, wie gesagt, kaum Raps mit ihr. Es sind unter 10 Matches, die ich mit ihr gespielt habe. So. Hast du Tipps? Nee, generell.
One is going to be against Valda. Valda is a hero we met for the first time, but we need to be a bit careful since she can dominate her attacks with seismic surges. But if we have like a D-React in Arsenal, that wouldn't be a big issue. And on top of that, Valda also punishes draws, but since we cut down on 2 Legacy of Icarus, we won't be drawing a lot this game. This is going to be our sideboard against Valda, just nothing really special. I'm going to be playing the full sweep of D-React since Valda is going to be having some dominate. I just want to be able to fully block dominate whenever the dominate comes. Not depicted here, but I forgot the shoes. Of course, we're going to be playing the only leg equipments we have, being the Pouncing Paws. New week, new games. Today we are starting our first round against Valda. Valda is rather a new hero, so we don't have like a lot of experience playing against her since she just got her upgrades in the Mastery Pack. So it's going to be an interesting game. So turn 1, Valda wins Dyro and go first. After thinking for a lot of time which aura to get with the Imposing Visage, Valda decides to get the Leeline, giving her a Seismic Surge, and just passing the turn on 2 Seismic Surges. That isn't too bad, since that basically enables like a 2-card disable or 2 cards Spinal Crush. And if I for some reason draw a card, then she gets the 3rd Seismic and gets Dominate on her next attack. So I had a pretty decent start, being able to use all the cards in my hand. Probably would have been better if this card would be online, but since I had a Sigil into 0, that makes the Scar like Giga offline. But I had a Bittering Thorns, and I was able to go like Bittering Thorns, throw my sword, and also throw a Brutal Assault. I didn't really want to keep the Scar for Scar in my arsenal, since I know it isn't going to be that great in my arsenal, since I'm pushing a lot of damage this turn. There is a high chance I'm still going to be at higher life than Valda for the next turn, so maybe if I can like stack the Scar for Scar for later, I can go like lower if you go into a second cycle. But Valda had the 2 times D-React that blocks for 5, so she was able to easily block like a lot of attacks and come back with a Chokeslam, creating an extra Seismic Surge. So this extra seismic is pretty important since it gets to keep the Leland alive. Since if Valda wouldn't make the extra seismic, I could just block out this chokeslam, and the Leland would destroy itself. Speaking about the Leland destroying itself, this is a fun interaction with Amnesia. Since the Leland checks for cards named seismic surges, then meaning Amnesia basically destroys Leland if it hits, and my opponent didn't realize it, and instead of just like blocking it in full, he played efficient. He just played like a nothing burger of a turn, making a seismic and swinging the hammer for 4. So I basically managed to get the line for free out of the way. So I come now with an Enact Vengeance. Valda can play a decent amount of D-React, so I don't really want to be that aggressive with my arm equipment. Since I think this is a matchup where if I lose my sword, I just immediately lose the game, like a lot of matchups are. In this case, with my Neck Vengeance, it gets blocked by the Crown of Providence, so that would mean that my opponent doesn't have like really access to a D-React, but I don't really want to risk it since he could have drawn a D-React from his sink. So I just play it safe, deal a little bit of damage, and pass a turn, and I ended up getting rewarded since I pissed himself one, basically the card that he got from his arsenal with the crown. So I honestly think this game didn't have like a lot of crazy turns. This game basically came out just to me outvalue my opponent since I am just able to do 2 card 8 or more, even more value. So as we can see in all these turns, I'm just able to go like 2 to 3 chains wide. And Valda doesn't have like really a comeback. A lot of Guardians in the past just wait for the moment in order to strike. Like they would sandbag until they can do like a comeback turn. For example, like Bravo would sandbag and wait until his opponent has like a weak turn, and then he could be able to play like a Cryptic Clutch with Dominate. And in the case from Valda doesn't have like a lot of bombs. Like the bomb is her ability herself, but if she isn't able to get to 3 seismic surges and then play like a really cool card, for example, put them on their place, Valda isn't really able to do a lot in general, especially since I'm not drawing any cards, meaning Valda gets like 0 free value out of the game. So in that case, and even if Valda would get like Dominate, that's easily stopped from my equipment or a D-React in Arsenal, and I haven't seen a pommel from Valda's side in this game, and pommel would be like the only blowout that she could do, but sometimes with Valda the pommel is just predictable, like you see how Valda plays, and for example if Valda plays like a chokeslam and doesn't activate the tectonic plating, has to floating, then you're thinking, oh yeah, Valda has a pommel, why would she like doesn't want to activate the plating, like sometimes Valda can bluff with that, but it's a bit hard just losing value in a bluff. Other relevant things to say is, for example, some crushes, we can just play around the crushes, like there's chokeslam, we can play around chokeslam if, for example, we have a Gorgon. So we can start with the Gorgon and then swing our Edge of Autumn. And since Chokeslam has attacks, only weapon attacks Chokeslam has attacks that only attack action cards cannot gain extra power. So our Edge of Autumn is immune to that effect. So in the case of a turn I just swing with Arbitrary Thorns first. If that hits, meaning my Edge of Autumn comes for 3. Yeah, as I was saying, for Valda it's pretty hard to outvalue me since I have good defensive value. So when Valda wants to do like a really cool turn, I can just block that out and wait for the next turn. And Valda also suffers from the general Guardian problem, where if you draw like a full blue hand, there isn't much you can do. So in the case from Valda, you have some cool blues like Seismic Instability, I think it's called, one of those, that creates 3 seismic surges that basically set up you for next turn with Dominate. But otherwise, I don't really see how Valda can have a great time into like value decks since some attacks aren't that great and can easily be played around. Also like debilitate, the -2 I am just fine giving it -2 to my Edge of Autumn since that's basically one value. Disable, we can just play a D-React from Arsenal. Spinal Crush can be a bit harsh, but it's easily blocked with my equipment. So as long as Valda has no pummel inside, then it should be like an easy matchup. And that's what happens in this matchup in generally. As you can see, I just outvalue my opponent playing 2 cards versus 2 cards. So Valda can't do more than 2 card 7 unless she has a seismic. So that's just an easy outvalue through the game, regardless of how good the equipment of Valda is. Once again, here we meet for the first time. This time it's going to be Jarl. Jarl has a disruptive playstyle and destroys a lot of equipment, and when we have our equipment stripped from us, then Jarl is stronger since he gave us frostbites, giving us up to 4 frostbites in our equipment zones, on top of any other frostbites we might get from things like the shield, something like that. This is going to be our equipment simp against Jarl, so with the changes we did this week, our chest equipment is a little bit weaker, since it has Blade Break instead of Battle Warren, meaning when we block it once, it's gone. So we have an exposed equipment zone. But the 100 wins are going to be seen play here, and I hope they're going to be decent, since that way we can go wide. But we might get disrupted by a certain amount of frostbites. So let's see how this match goes. So Jarl goes first and swings the hammer. In that case, the Jarl is swinging the hammer first. I'm thinking he wants to fatigue me, since Jarl has like an easy pitch out outlet in with the arm equipment. He can just over pitch and stack something for late game. So I know he's trying to fatigue me, and I just played this hateful scene since I just wanted to fix my hand and fix my draw. I considered keeping it since sometimes it's fairly important to stop cards like Oakenhold, but I just used it to have like a decent turn since my turn wasn't looking that great, and it wasn't that great as well. So I just had an Enact and Vengeance Never Dies, the rest, and a Philosopher's. Not that much damage, only 9 damage. It's fine, but in that case we already send a last ditch effort to the bottom, and that's going to be part of our win condition from this game if Giles wants to go for the late game. So his turn, he swings the hammer, but interestingly enough, he over pitches on Oakenhold. So I know he's maybe trying to set up some stack for the late game with an Oakenhold. That can be pretty terrifying if we can't like stop, and Jarl is able like to pitch that back to back Oakenholds, meaning we really need to get like a D-React and Arsenal to stop the Oakenholds. I just block with 1 card and swing 8 damage, and since I have the sigil, I just heal more, and now I'm like 9 life ahead of the Jarl. So looking not that bad. His turn is just a Winterspite. So Winterspite isn't a greatest card just to play, since it basically just takes one. It's like a trade, you know, one for 1 card. The Winterspite gets pretty terrifying when it also gives the Frostbite. So it slows me down, but Jarl is losing 1 card from his deck, so that can be a bit trouble for Jarl, since he wants to fatigue me, and losing just cards to get tempo, it's good, but sometimes not great. So he throws also a Frostfang. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, since I didn't really want to use my head equipment to block, since that will break it and leave me exposed. But he had Tunic at 3, and if he has Tunic 3 and an Arsenal, it could mean he has a pummel inside. So my turn was just looking kinda bland, since I had like a full red hand. So I just swing my Edge of Autumn into Philosopher's. 6 damage, not good, not bad, just mid. And he has a decent hand to capitalize. Once again, he has a Winter's Bite, taking that card away from me, and also had the Crumble to Eternity, putting the -1 counter my Okana Scarab. That is an important equipment for the late game, since when I know that Jarl has no D-React, I can just activate it freely. But we also need to watch out since Jarl has D-React at block 6. So he could just freely block a Sick Vengeance for 6 in that case. Now there is another feel bad moment for me. My turn isn't awesome, just come with the Bittering Thorns and then I open the center for 4 damage. But he blocks with the block card from Jarl, and since I have 2 equipments with -1 counter, he gets a mangle for free. So that block basically is like 2 card 8 value since he gets like 3 cards. Okay, so he also needs to pitch 2 cards, but he has Tunic. So if he uses Tunic, he has into like 3 cards for 12 value. That's not that bad, and especially since it's going to come with Dominate because of the Crumble of Eternity. He is going to guarantee himself getting one of my equipments. If I wouldn't have like a D-React in my arsenal, like in this case I have the Flick Flags in my arsenal, so that was pretty good. So 100 Winds came out in play, first time we get to play the new card. It's cool because it enables like 2 card 8s with 0 cost cards, so just coming 3 into 5, not too shabby. But now is where the problems start. So Jarl comes with a Dominate Mangle for 10, since he pitched Crumble to Eternity. And I was thinking, what exactly do I want to do with... I mean, there's no win-win scenario for me in this case. I can give him... Since I have no D-React in Arsenal, I can give him 2 equipments and 1 card from hand. So in that case I block 6, but I still lose 2 equipments, meaning he can give me up to 2 Frostbites with his hero ability. But in this case I just decided to tank the whole 10 and to see what I can do with my hand, since I am already like pretty ahead on life. So something that we definitely need to take into account is the shield. So the shield is basically 1 Frostbite on demand, and we also need to play around cards like Blizzard, since for Blizzard we need like to pay with 1 whole blue card. So in this case the shield was fine since I kept like the whole hand to see what I could do. So I just needed to pitch the sigil I had in hand. The Frostbite basically took 3 value away from me, but I was still able to push damage this turn. Ah yes, and the ominous Command and Conquer hits the combat chain. My opponent has 1 floating, 1 card in hand, and Tunic at 3. So can you guess what happens next? Of course, the Command and Conquer gets pummeled. I decided to not block this since I didn't have like an easy out to it, and I could still play my turn with 3 cards, but the life got almost equalized and he basically got like 16 value out of the Command and Conquer. Yeah, that's a bit harsh, but I'm still on the offensive with 3 cards. So now that we have an exposed equipment zone, the Winter Spites start getting a little bit annoying since it's not only 1 card taken away but also the Frostbite, so it takes a lot of tempo away. A funny play we could do is basically use an instant in our opponent's turn to use the floating resource from the Winter Spite and basically just use that instant to take away the Frostbite in our opponent's turn. So I could be using, for example, my legs equipment or a sigil to use that. So in this turn, the Grid monster hit me. I blocked my blue card since I thought, okay, I just swing with 2 of my 100 wins, and then I think I have a Scarfus Scar as well. But yeah, sadly I got hit by a Blizzard, as I told before, and the Blizzard just obliterated me. If I would have the blue card in my hand, I would be able to play around the Blizzard, since I just pay for the 2 from the Blizzard and the 1 Frostbite. But since I used my only blue card to block, then I just got destroyed by that Blizzard, basically just skipping me. So the Frostbites are a little bit annoying, taking some extra value here and there. So luckily, the silver lining is that my attacks are cost 2, so if I have a Frostbite, I can still play with 2 cards. But that means the Frostbite takes like 2 value away from me, and that's like pretty easy to just block with 2 cards and play as well with 2 cards, doing something else. So my hand is once again full red. He plays the Frostfang, gives me one Frostbite, so I know I need to block this turn since I'm not doing anything else anyway. So he's using a 3, so we need to watch out about the pummels. And due to the Frostbite that I got after my opponent played the Frostfang, I need to pitch one card for my D-React, so at the end I ended up just using my whole hand to block. I ended up blocking the pommel as well and have enact Vengeance for the late game, so not too bad. So this turn was pretty sad. He destroys my Pawns in Paws with the card that destroys thingies. And now I have two exposed zones, so now I have 2 more Frostbites. That's not nice, so I have to use one whole card to swing with my sword, meaning 1 card for 1 value. He hits me with a Blizzard, but I was a bit lucky that my hand was 2 blues and a 0 cost attack, since due to that I was still able to throw some damage, paying 4 for paying 3 for Frostbite and 2 for the Blizzard. So I just got taxed 5 resources basically, but luckily my hand was working. So now I was able to do the cool thing I mentioned before. When I have the Frostbite and something floating from the Winter's Bite, I can just use an instant. Like in this case, I use my Sigil to destroy the Frostbite and be able to play, but I still need to beware of the shield. I think the shield would have been like a good block on this Sick Vengeance, since he would have just been able to stop me on my tracks. I think in this game I wasn't running the 1 for 5s we added last week, so I think that's something to learn, that the card isn't maybe playable in this matchup, since it costs like 1 less and I can play around the shield with that. And now for something I would say was a rough spot. I managed to climb back. Now I am 14 life ahead, but sadly my turn is pretty bad since I only have to open the center, and that gives a bit of tempo back to Jarl. So now he has like 3 cards to play with. His turn wasn't awesome, was this Immersion Avalanche, and it wasn't really fused, so I have like no Frostbite of that. And if I can't like strip him out of a lot of cards, he can be throwing like a CNC for 9. And luckily, I had like a cool turn to play now. I had like this flying kick, so I was just freely able to put him in lethal range and stripping his whole hand. The Merchant Avalanche text says it needs to be on an action card, so it won't happen with the hammer. So at this point, now I know I won this game since I have enough cards in deck to close the game, and we have the last ditch effort tag, and Jarl is like pretty low in life, so from this point it's just easy sailing to close the game. So now our third round is going to be against Synindra. As mentioned before, I thought Synindra was a bad matchup. Maybe lately it's been looking pretty decent, but it depends a lot on when the Wrath Retribution comes. Synindra does a lot of pinks and evasive damage, meaning cards like the Sirens are going to do huge work since the healing is basically taking value away from the pinks, and the Disruption is pretty good against Synindra since she doesn't play that well with small hands. This is going to be our equipment sweep for the Synindra game. The Blazing Joroi, once again, it's really good against Synindra, just doing a lot of work, blocking like Lava Burst, something like that. Getting 5 value out of an equipment is huge in any matchup. Round 3 is against Synindra. This is a rematch from 3 episodes ago where I lost the finals, but now it's nice we get a rematch. After he teases he's going to clap us again, we start the game. So my hand isn't that bad. I know Synindra runs a lot of 2 blocks, so I decided just to go for it and see if I can push 1 to 3 damage. In this case, Synindra had 2 3 blocks and 2 2 blocks, so Synindra just blocked me out and started turn with an Oath. So since he didn't play the last card in hand, I thought the last card in hand must be some kind of reaction, either a defense or attack reaction.
since he could have been able to play any card due to the brand of Syneclo. Something interesting is I didn't knew Brand of Syneclo got a functional errata. Um, so the text before was basically the next card becomes draconic while it's attacking. But if you check online, the text with Brandos Ineklo is now basically the same text as Fealty, that the next card you attack with gets draconic. I didn't knew it, but it's nice to know. So since he had no follow-up, I was able to keep 3 cards in my hand, and I played basically a full Vengeance turn with Edge of Autumn into Sick Vengeance into Enact Vengeance. And I didn't use my arms in the Sick Vengeance attack, since if I save it for the Enact Vengeance, he either needs to give me 3 cards or the Flight Path, and that's basically like the same value, but taking also things from him and gaining tempo. So I will honestly prefer to do that. And I ended up taking an Expose from his arsenal. As I mentioned before, I thought that was going to be a reaction of some sort since he didn't play it. And his turn is just a weak turn that gets basically outplayed by my flick flack. So my turn wasn't that great as just an Amnesia. Amnesia has basically no effect against Synindra, since she doesn't care about the names of her cards like her other ninja peers. And he blocks it with 1 card. Something that I don't really get. So he starts his turn with an Ignite, and I lose my Calm Breeze on the dagger that after that. So I know if I use a Calm Breeze here, then I don't need to worry about the mask for this game, and also denies the resource from the chest if he needs it. So he plays the Outer Dragon Fire, pitching a Martial Flaherty. I don't really know what his end goal was, since the other card in hand is also Martial Flaherty. So if I don't deny that his resource of the Common Breeze, he would ended up IPing himself on 1. So I don't really know what the plan is. I think blocking 6 on the attack last turn would have been just better value overall. So since he would be like 3 life ahead and still be able to do the same play as he is doing right now, regardless of the Common Breeze. The only difference would be that he has like no arsenal, but he would IP himself on 1 if he wouldn't have. So you know what I mean, yeah. So my hand wasn't that great, and I don't have a resource to bail me out, so it was basically full red. I think it was 2 Withering Thorns and 2 Sick Vengeance red. At the end, I just decided to tank the damage, since I don't need to worry about the Mask Momentum, and I can push 10 damage, which isn't that bad, and just keeps me ahead in the race. Right now, 9 life ahead, and that's a nice spot to be in at this game against Synindra. So after some easy blocks on my opponent's turn, where I know he wouldn't be able to trigger the Mask of Momentum, since the way he attacked had not much go again, and he didn't flick in the first attack. Now I have not that great of a turn with Vengeance Never Rests, but I know if the card is able to connect the first time, then I have like an on-rate turn. And it connects the first time, the second time doesn't connect, but I don't care about it connecting a second time. I just want to connect the first time, and in that way I just make the typical 8 value, 9 with the Okana Scar Wraps, but yeah, at least 8 value from this turn. So now the life difference is 8, and Synindra has 4 cards to play with. Starts with pitching 1 Throw Dagger to get the starter, and then plays Hot in the Hills. So the Hot in the Hills, I don't really care about getting marked right now, since for him to get the fealty, he needs to hit me again, and I can just block the second attack this turn and just keep more cards to play with. And since I knew he had the Ancestral Empowerment, it was going to hit anyway. He drew a Brand of Syneclo with the card, and then proceeds to play a Snatch that's Draconic. So with the Draconic Snatch, he is going to be able to give it go again with the Dragon Flight Path, and drawing like 2 cards is pretty scary at that point. So, but luckily I have my place in Jarl, and I just block 5 for free, and that's pretty good, since that basically ends his turn, and I still have like some good amount of armor blocks for next turns. Now I took damage, but now it's my time to deal damage. So since Synindra a 6, I can present easily 12 damage this turn, meaning I would be able to strip at least 1 to 2 cards from Syndra's hand on top of the equipments. And that's exactly what I do. I start with Bittering Thorns for 4, and then I throw my Sirens for 7. So if the Bittering Thorns would have hits, then Sirens would be for 8. So that's basically 12 damage, double the life amount of Synindra. And Synindra just is now unblocking. And since we know if Synindra starts to block and loses cards from hand, then the turns get significantly worse. I think Synindra needs at least 3 cards in hand to do like a scary turn. And now I get no value from Reflect Flanks, but I still was able to almost outblock the Synindra. And I didn't have the greatest hand, but I'm still able to strip some cards from his hand. And I know if he's just playing 1 card from his hand, then it's going to be easily closing the game. And that's what I do at the end. I just keep throwing attacks at Synindra, and Synindra has to give me multiple cards. And if Synindra gives me multiple cards, Synindra cannot deal damage. And that's how the cookie crumbles in the Synindra game.
And lastly, last round against Florian. Florian has big attacks and some big defense. He plays a lot of D-reacts, meaning we can't really use our arm equipment. On top of that, the shoes from Florian, they also prevent 2 damage and instant speed, so we can't really risk using our kind of Scarab, since he can at any point of the game just have 2 D-reacts, or he could just activate his leg equipment and screw us over. So we would need to wait until super late game when we are sure Florian has no more D-reacts and he already used his leg equipment. The game can go long, so we need to pitch stack and plan for that. And we need to play around phase purgatory, since we can't really do like 1-7 to Arsenal something, since that opens up a phase purgatory play, meaning we just lose our Arsenal for free and Florian draws a card. This is going to be our equipment sweep. We're going to be playing AB1, since that's all we need, especially since Florian are not playing the Channel the Millennium Tree. There is not going to be a rune channel for 4 coming at us. Playing clean 60, don't really think playing more than 60 is right, even though we'd be fatigued by Florian. Or maybe it is, I don't know, I need to figure something out for this matchup. Yeah, just playing all the 60 we know, playing also a Flick Flags in Florian sometimes likes to go wide. So, round 4 against Florian. Florian was our last loss we had in this series, in this season. So I go first. Against my better judgment, I decided to attack, since I didn't really like my hand and I wanted to filter a little bit. On top of that, I sent this race face to the bottom, just to have some disruption in late game. And I take Caliber Stilling from Florian's deck. It's a decent card, so basically two hand 8. So it's nice that's out of the deck. But now it's on the graveyard, and meaning if Florian can get some quicker decomposes with that. Florian Sir isn't that great as well. He just does a Rune Chant and swings with a Command and Conquer. The Rune Chant was really important for us to get, since now, thanks to the Rune Chant, I'm able to play my Scar from Arsenal, and I just get some extra damage from that, and also play a Sirens. He had the Seeds of Tomorrow. I don't know which cards he sent to the bottom, but that blocks 5, and now he has 2 cards to play, and he just does the classic play of Rune Chant into Rip and Blade, like swinging Hammer for 4 basically. I had like an okay turn with Enact Vengeance. I take some value away from his arms equipment, since he needed to block them with them in order to avoid getting blown out by the kind of Scarabs. But to be honest, I think if he should just have block 7 at that point, I wouldn't have used them, because I'm pretty sure if he has like 2D reacts, I just lose the game instantly. And his follow-up is a Plow Under, decomposing for the second time. Now he has 4 Earth in the Banish. I had no Arsenal, but I had a Scar for Scar, which I use, and try to push damage. My hand wasn't that great, especially because the flying kick was a blue one, but that was like still fine-ish, so it is what it is.
This game I started actually just pushing way more damage than last time. I think last time the Channel Mountain for 12 just destroyed us. But now I'm ahead in life, and that's actually good for Florian since now he can deploy his Arcane Seeds live and gain 1 life, not being restricted like, for because his weapon. And play the second Plow Under, getting rid of my arsenal. I just take both rune chants and try to play with 3 cards. It isn't that great, but it's what it has. Maybe like that one resource would have been like better if I had like open the center, and not open the center, like the Torn Gale, you know. But I think I started those out this game since I wasn't really planning a lot on playing that, and just play the Fluster Fist. Like the Fluster Fist sometimes feel like hit or miss. I think this game like one Fluster Fist was sad because I had like one resource floating, and the other Fluster Fists were like nice because they were perfectly, I think. But yeah, let's see. Now I kinda got like another dot of a turn. So the Bittern Thorns are cool cards, but they're only good if I manage to keep like 3 cards in my hand. With 2 cards, they aren't that great, so it's nah. It just feels bad, especially as he can block it easily with the D-React from his arsenal. And I'm pretty sure if he blocks the D-React from arsenal, that means he also has like other D-React he wants to put in his arsenal. Especially when he does like this swing with sword turn. Was pretty funny because that means his whole hand was just reds. And yeah, it's like give and take. I have a bad turn, he has a bad turn, so I guess we're quit now. And now I have a good turn. I have this Erase Phase for 7. Erase Phase is honestly pretty cool against Florian since at least takes 1 value away from the turn, meaning he can just do double rune chant, swing a sword. And it also shuts down like cards like Felling of the Crown and Plow Under, which are Florian's strongest cards. And in this case, we can actually see one Felling of the Crown in his hand, so this card is a must block for him. Indeed, the Felling of the Crown hits the board. I decided to take like an off turn, blocking with 2 of my Vengeance and Arrest. Sadly, it's like a premium blue, but I need to give him away, just do an Arsenal and pass. And luckily for us, he had a brick turn next turn and just rune chants and into Ripping Blade, so that's pretty good. My hand was full red, but since he had like an off turn, I was able to push some damage with my hand. But now I have this thing where I have 5 cards in a row that are red, and I need to be careful just to avoid that. If I have like opts or things, I need to be careful in order to put like a blue card on top, and then at least go like blue card and 3 reds into 2 reds and 2 blues, So that's going to be a plan I need to know, but I need to do. But I was getting fairly excited in this game, and I kind of forgot about this hand that was upcoming, so I may have done a mistake later into the game. Now Florian has been stringing a couple of strong turns. So he had this Bramble Spark with the Swarming Glue Veil into Sword, and now he plays the first Channel Mountain Heroic of the game. Luckily for us, it's only Avatalion Bastion, so it could have been way worse, to be honest. And now I tried to bait his Face Purgatory with his Sick Vengeance. I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can get the Face Purgatory and just don't have to worry about it, since I have like 1 card in hand. And it was my sigil, but luckily he didn't fall for it. And luckily for me as well, he bricks. So he just swings with a Ripping Blade for 5 without rune chant because he had like full red. So yeah, that's some nice things. Like the game is going better, but it isn't great. I think there are some cards like missing on the deck. For example, like the Tunic is suddenly being missed at certain points. Since like the full red hands wouldn't be like that bad, at least I would be able to keep an arsenal on those turns. Now it seems I misremembered about the Philosophist. So the second Philosophist also next me 1 value basically, just coming for 5, and my opponent blocks it with the Shelter. I mean, probably the Pun Gale would have been better in this game, but the hindsight is 2020. You know, like the I I want to play the Philosophist because they have combo, and if I have like a Scar, I can do like Scar into Philosophist, but maybe it isn't like that great in this matchup. Maybe just like the Pan Gales are better. So now there is another mid-turn from Florian. He's throwing the Fruit of the Forest with the Bramble Spark. That's still some decent damage, but it isn't like exactly what Florian wants to do. And I just tank some of the damage and tried to push a flanking turn that almost equalized the life, but it wasn't quite there. Like in this turn, we actually see how effective Florian's armor is. Like the chest basically blocking for this turn, it just outvalues a lot of what we're doing. So that's honestly something rough. After just a okay CNC turn from my opponent that didn't cost me anything, I start swinging with the Scar for Scar. That honestly Scars has been pretty good this game, and I honestly didn't expect to get his face purgatory this turn, especially on him blocking like 8. Yeah, that was pretty weird. I expected to get like the purgatory in other turns, but not this one. And it was kind of funny because he discarded like this blue sirens I had in my hand, and I just healed one of the sirens. I mean, he still blocked like 8 on paper since I couldn't swing my Edge of Atom into the card Hammer Asuna, but it's still like funny that the sirens were the cards that I discarded. And after the next felling hit the board, we just start doing this classic game of back and forth. I give 2 cards, he gives 2 cards. I mean, he is almost naked right now, and I'll still have some equipment blocks. So basically, on live, we're almost equalized, but he has more like value per card that I do, especially as he has like a bigger weapon. So that's like a bit of an issue since his weapon is like swing for 5, and my weapon only swings for 1. So that's like a big problem, and especially as he has like the fellings of the crown. Those are like some strong value in the game, especially if I do some misplays like this. Like for example, on this felling, I blocked the favor scene, and I forgot to track where the full red hand was, so I just blocked with a fate. And since I wanted just like to put the flying kick I saw at the bottom, since I wanted like to guarantee have it for later in the game, I didn't count it where the full red hand was, so I put the only blue card that was going to be in my hand for next turn on the bottom of my deck. So that was honestly like a really big misplay from my part. So after the third felling, I feel a little bit more confident since we're almost same on life, and we can start like trading back again, and until something terrible happens. So basically, my opponent plays the Soul of Tomorrow from Arsenal, and that basically gave him access to another felling. So now we have 4 fellings of the crown, and that's pretty bad, as you might think. So I honestly think this felling of the crown ended up winning the game, but as we can see later, I was prepping for the last ditch effort things, but the felling was just like too strong. So now we ended up doing the last back and forth hands, but the recursion cards that Earth heroes have are like way too strong for me, since he can basically, if he has tempo, he can trade 1 blue card in the form of like the Ether Bloom Life or the Seeds of Tomorrow for a really powerful card in the form of the Arcane Seeds Life or the Filling Up the Crown. And that's what ended up happening in this game. So he had like the Felling and the Arcane Seeds, and I just couldn't keep up with it. I didn't have enough life in order to do like my turn. And yeah, that I'm like honestly pretty sad about that. The game felt way closer than last time. I think there are definitely some of the expensive cards that are missing in this matchup, so I am not sure how I'm going to fix this. But I need to go into the tank and think.
Okay, so we got our ass bitten by Lionel once again. But he was kind enough to donate the pack. Maybe we do something nice. Three one, not too bad. I'm really happy we managed to pair against our last losses. So that was some nice rematches. The Synindra matchup was fine. I don't really know what I can do in order to have a better Florian matchup. Maybe Remembrance is a card we can play in this matchup, but I'm not sure. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy how the 100 wins performed. There were no bad, so that was a good choice in the deck. And I will try to get the Winds of Eternity. Maybe we get enough budget, but yeah, let's see. And also the pack that got donated at the end was a nice pull. Since it was a donation instead of us pulling it, I'm just only going to take the half of the worth of the card. I think that's not too much anyway, since it's an ally that doesn't see a lot of play. But it's still a bit of the armory money that we're getting back. Right, so thank you for watching and see you next week.